Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Cheers. Aaron Maslow from Jungle Pal Coffee, founder of the nonprofit everyone's been talking about, Jungle Pal Coffee, same name as the channel. We're a nonprofit devoted to making special coffee. Coffee that speaks for a place, coffee that elevates people, coffee that brings people together. And I've got some announcements. This coffee cup's a little bit gronky. I made it outside on a campfire. Wanted to get that jungle coffee feel for the first big video back after my long hiatus, which I will talk about. I'll get to it. I couldn't find my normal sunglasses. These are also a little bit dirty, a little bit grimy, a little bit grotesque, and some would say withered, almost like an old animatronic Freddy Fazbear suit. But we're doing our best. Obviously, these are sort of rustic conditions. I try to keep it authentic around here. So, it's been a while, as everyone knows. A while back, I accidentally dropped my editing software and it fell into the cracks between two of the cushions on my sofa. And I looked for it for a while, thought about buying another one, but got very busy running the old 501c3, dealing with my harvest, my roast, dialing in that fermentation, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I put it on the back burner, and just recently I was cleaning the house and I actually found my editing software. So we're back. Let me just do a quick introduction. If this is the first time seeing this channel, my name is Aaron Maslow, A-A-R-O-N, not E-R-I-N. As some of you guys have been commenting, that is a girl's name, and I don't appreciate that. So if you could please stop commenting that, that would be great. I know some of you think it's funny, but it's really not funny. It's just childish and it's immature. Who am I? I'm a coffee expert, someone who is passionate about coffee, a major player in the specialty coffee scene, if I do say so myself, and I mean that with all respect and humility to the scene. I'm a holistic therapist based here in Costa Rica, living an alternative lifestyle, striving to bring people together through the thing that I love, coffee, and the thing that many of you love, and hopefully the thing that you're here to learn more about. So, before we get to today's topic, if you would like to check out any of my courses from, my day job, it's a little boring, could be a little crusty for some of you, could be, like I said, similar to this, just kind of like a Freddy Fazbear suit that's withered and full of cobwebs. But if this is something that interests any of you, click the first link in the description for some of my alternative holistic therapy courses. We've got 50% off right now on a course on actually interpreting your star chart, if that's something that interests you. Again, no pressure. Wow, it's a beautiful day out. Yeah, so let's get right into it. Today I just thought I'd take a fun, easy topic. While I've been away, I've been seeing and hearing a lot of talk about something some of you are probably familiar with, some of you might not be. So I'm going to introduce it, and that is the concept of co-ferments. Now, if any of you guys are not coffee literate, I'll give you a quick backstory. Coffee, it's the Cafe Arabica plant. There's other species like Robusta, which is disgusting and decrepit, like a withered Freddy. No. It's not good. It's Cafe Arabica. There's Excelsa. There's Liberica. Those are interesting, don't get me wrong, but we don't talk about that here. Cafe Arabica plant produces this little red cherry-like fruit, and it has a seed in it. Both that fruit and the seed contain flavor compounds that will ultimately go into your cup. This is kind of janky, isn't it? Maybe I should put this down. Yeah. Sorry about that. Hopefully that cup doesn't make anyone uncomfortable. So there's a few different ways to process coffee. There's the washed process, in which essentially the fruit is stripped off of the seed quickly and efficiently and that essentially leaves you with just the flavor that's in the seed. It's described, and this is a whole contentious subject, so I'm going to try to give you the short version. It's described as cleaner, crisper, often more like separation between the flavors. You have some more often tea-like flavors, floral notes, citrus, acidity, that type of thing. And then there's natural process. A little sweaty. It is quite muggy out today. Yeah, so there's natural process. That's my favorite. I'm a big fan of that, as I always advocate for on this channel. But in natural process, what you would do is you would... My hands are a little grimy too. I've been planting some coffee plants. I've been doing some gardening, so my hands are also kind of like a basically golden Freddy, just sort of slumped in the corner ominously. My goggles are falling off. So yeah, natural process. You essentially cut the fruit and let it dry as is with the cherry around the seed, and some natural fermentation happens, and that will leach some of the flavors from the fruit and some fermentation byproduct into the seed, so that when you ultimately take the seed out of the fruit, it still retains some fruit-like flavors. It's a little harder to control. The flavors can sometimes be a little muddier, but on the other hand, you'll often get some really nice, intense fruit flavors, some berry, things like that. Some famous coffees are known for like blueberry flavors, for example. So, again, this is for those of you who aren't coffee literate. I'm just giving the quick background. So there's natural process and wash process. In natural process, there's some fermentation that occurs. So some people have taken that idea further and done anaerobic process. And there's subdivisions of that, like wet anaerobic process, warm anaerobic, cool anaerobic. Essentially, in anaerobic fermentation, you don't just dry the fruits out. You actually deliberately ferment them in a vessel. Similar to like, kombucha, pickles, kimchi, sourdough. A lot of chocolate is processed that way. And that takes the fermentation much further, and you can get quite a few other unique flavors you wouldn't even get from normal natural process that way. It's obviously less controlled and less standardized, but there's been a lot of exploration to that territory recently. Now, the topic at hand today is a step, I wouldn't say beyond that. In sort of a certain kind of twisted mind, you could say that it is a progression or a building off of that, but a co-ferment is when you actually ferment the coffee, as in anaerobic fermentation in a vessel, and you put something else in it that's not coffee to basically get the flavor of that thing into your coffee. So I'm going to pick up my Freddy Fazbear coffee. What should we make of that? Is a co-ferment legitimate? Does it deserve a seat at the table? Is it fake? Is it phony? Is it fugazi? Is it chicanery? Well, I think I'm going to... This is a polarizing subject, so no matter what I say, I'm going to ruffle some feathers here, but I think we have to separate when we talk about co-ferments. Is it specialty coffee? And is it just good in general? To answer the first question, is it specialty coffee? No. Obviously, it is not. And that is a problem when you go on somewhere like r/pour-over. It's not necessarily, r/specialty coffee, I understand, but like this community that was touted as being kind of like the intellectual center of this movement, and you've got all of this post about co-ferments now. Don't get me started on that. We'll definitely have a video coming up on the radicalization that happens on r/coffee, but anyway, or r/pour-over. Specialty coffee is exactly what it sounds like. It is coffee that is specialty. Not like, tea, but it's high-end coffee that meets certain rigorous standards, that transcends just a beverage that you would drink for comfort or for energy or something like that, and it becomes almost an expression, a form of art. It's like this kind of interesting intermingling between culinary arts, chemistry, hard science, theology, philosophy, history, archaeology. No, not maybe not some of those, but there's a lot that goes into it. There's craftsmanship, there's palate, there's expertise, and it's meant to be a complex sensory experience for the consumer. And the point of that is that it's coffee. And what makes it partly special is that it is just coffee. That's sort of where the expertise and the creativity and the interest comes from, is in seeing and experiencing how someone is able to take the same plant and they're able to coax such interesting, intricate flavor profiles out of it. Like, for example, a famous region in Ethiopian Yirgacheffe would taste famously like very fruity, and it would be known for having a strong blueberry flavor in it. Or Panama geisha, a washed Panama geisha would be known for having these very delicate floral notes and a kind of tea-like flavor. And part of what's interesting about that is that those are the same plant, and when you drink Dunkin' Donuts coffee, it tastes like a burned tire. Someone's able to take the burned tire plant and they're able to get blueberry flavor out of it, and they're able to get florals, and they're able to get tea-like body out of it. That's interesting, and that's compelling, and that's impressive, and that's fun. When you are someone who's passionate about this, what you also have to respect is, through every step of the supply chain, from the person who planted the seed to the people who picked it, to the people who handled it, to the people who processed it, you even get out of the hands of the people into the climate of the place that it was grown, into the soil, into the weather. All of that came together and had to be expertly navigated by the people involved to create this product. If you're putting watermelon in a barrel of fermented coffee, it's not really surprising that it tastes like watermelon. And I guess that's just a long-winded way of saying the obvious, which is that high-end specialty coffee is coffee, specifically. The interesting, unique flavors that come out of it, it's only special and it's only high-end because you're getting that just from coffee. It's not particularly difficult or particularly impressive if you have a bag of coffee that tastes like passion fruit because now, I don't want to rub anyone the wrong way, but because you basically took a barrel and filled it with coffee and you just inserted your grubby hands into it and mixed it around and put a passion fruit in it. Like, that's just gross and off-putting, and why would you do that? Not, again, with full respect to anyone's choices as a consumer. It's kind of immoral, too, honestly, but putting that aside, I don't think we need to go into all this. I just wanted to kind of reiterate, because there's a whole separate issue of, beyond whether or not a co-ferment is specialty coffee, of how did so many people come to treat it as if it is one? And again, I don't think we've got the time to delve fully into that. It concerns me that it's kind of snuck past the defenses in the community, if that makes sense. Now, of course, there are some of you out there who have been sounding the alarm since day one, saying, no, a co-ferment is not specialty coffee, and hats off to all of you. Again, I'm not saying this is an everyone problem. I just wanted to take the time to explain and reiterate, what specialty coffee is, in case it's the first time anyone's heard it, and to just reiterate why this phenomenon is interesting, why it's important, why it matters in the greater kind of global context. And when we're talking about a global context here, I mean, you might think this is a little silly, a little zany, a little bit like when Bugs Bunny just has an anvil fall on his head and I don't know what Bugs Bunny does, but that type of a thing. And there's kind of some truth to that, and I'll get to that in my second half of this discussion regarding just are co-ferments good at all. Say you're a farmer in Colombia and you produce some kind of amazing pink bourbon specialty high-end coffee. You've got 4 hectares. You could have like 1 or 2 hectares of coffee, and you've got all these intricate, interesting tropical flavors. You work with third wave roaster and you sell fairly directly. You make a good living off of that, and you make a really impressive product. And then you've got somebody who comes along, some oaf, giant ham hands, and just sort of like stuffs a watermelon into a barrel of coffee seeds, and suddenly all of that knowledge, the soil chemistry, and handle the coffee after you harvest it, and your precise ferment and everything, all of that just doesn't matter, because anyone with, doesn't even have to be a coffee bean, honestly, at this point. Like, it could be whatever. You could pretty much, you can just put whatever you want in a barrel, honestly, and take something out, and if it tastes like fruit, or maybe like some sort of alcohol, which, yeah, I'm dead serious. For anyone who is not familiar with this, co-ferments, Google it. They're known for a boozy flavor. So at a certain point, you could honestly just make like a bunch of moonshine, put it in a big barrel, and it's like we don't really have a need for the traditional specialty coffee anymore. It's suddenly like it's been cheapened, what makes it so special. And coffee is a major crop in a lot of tropical rural areas in the global south. So it's not insignificant, because it's a real pathway to a decent life for a lot of people to find a way to cash in on higher value specialty coffee. And there are some environmental ramifications where, obviously, anything that isn't an untouched ecosystem has some environmental impact, but forest, integrated, shade grown, whatever you want to call it, coffee is a lot better than most conventional agriculture. And yeah, if you just have a bunch of lumbering oafs going around, sort of like, oh my god, by the way, I saw a picture on the internet where there was they're putting orange rinds into a bunch of coffee beans. It was if you're doing that, I'm not saying, I want to make this clear, I'm not saying that you personally, if you're doing this, are chopped, but oh, but oh my god, are you chopped? Like unbelievably chopped. Like, I cannot even imagine being that. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll compose myself. No, but you're chopped. I think you get the point, and I think I've made it clear why it is significant that we distinguish what is truly specialty coffee and what is some sort of interesting novelty drink. And that brings us to the second point, which is a little shorter and maybe less of a downer. Can co-ferments be good? Do they taste good? Yeah. And this is where I might ruffle the other side's feathers, in that I don't think they're inherently bad. I think there are some fine co-ferments out there. I think there's some very interesting potential for a lot of interesting flavor combinations. And this is where nuance is so important, as in all things. In one context, not only should we scoff at, not only can we scoff at co-ferments, but we should. It's the right thing to do. But in another context, it's okay to enjoy them. It's okay to cheer for them. It's okay to be happy that they exist. They're not specialty coffee, but they're pretty solid, and in some ways I'm happy that people are exploring this new territory. They're coffee tangential, they're coffee adjacent, maybe, would be a better way to put it. They contain coffee, there's coffee in it. So if there's coffee in it, I'm in. I want to see more. So this is probably going to come as a surprise to some of you, but to some of my longtime viewers, my subscribers, some of you I know have your own roasters. I would challenge you to try to come up with your own interesting co-ferments. Don't let it take the place of the true bread and butter of specialty coffee, what this is supposed to be about at the end of the day. But at the same time, I think it would be a missed opportunity to not have some really interesting, flashy, flamboyant, spunky, unusual, maybe even slightly frightening co-ferments on your menu. There are so many options, I think, they're still unexplored, and the territory is so incredibly new, and that is what excites me about even a contentious subject like this, that has unfortunately caused some division, has caused some arguments and some strife. And for that reason, I just thought I would weigh in on this in an attempt to hopefully help find some common ground for all of us and help bring us together, because that's, at the end of the day, what I think coffee is best at doing. And co-ferments are sort of, they're coffee. They're not specialty coffee. So if that's what it takes to get you to just sit down in a cafe with your friends, sit down at a bench at a park, sit down in your car, whatever, have a meaningful conversation, relax, savor your beverage, be present in this moment, as all the ancient spiritual masters told us the secret to a fulfilled life was. By the way, if you want to check out my course in learning to be present in the moment through the secrets of transcendental meditation, click the second link in the description. But if a co-ferment is what it takes to get you to do that, to find those moments that are increasingly rare in modern life, then that's completely fine. And that would even be a good thing. I'm going to be doing that. I am going to continue exploring the co-ferment, and I'm eager to see what comes out in these next years and what kind of experimentation people do. I've been beating a dead horse here, but I feel like there's a lot of untapped potential. That's the beauty of it in some ways. If specialty coffee is trying to make the most out of a very narrow thing, trying to take severe limitations and turn it into an area where the sky's the limit, co-ferments are the opposite. It's like a blank canvas where you can essentially do anything, and both of those have a place in this world. So I think we don't even need to stop at putting oranges in it. We don't even need to stop at putting passion fruit in it. We could do, for example, barbecue. You could put barbecue sauce in there. There's a string blowing past my face. That's interesting. You've got, like, you could put a Philly cheesesteak. I don't know. I'm not going to spoil this for you. This is the fun. And I challenge you to get outside your comfort zone if you're a specialty coffee nerd like myself, and try a co-ferment, and maybe even try to create a co-ferment, because life's ultimately about creating. If you want to get more creative and harness your psychosexual, spiritual potential to create, and basically assume the divine partnership that was outlined for us in the Old Testament, that the ancients have all been trying to get us to understand, then I have a course for that. Also, it's filling up rapidly, but there's still room, so check out the third link in the description for that. I think that's all for today. It's been a pleasure having you. If you maybe want to drop a like, that would be very appreciated. If you want to subscribe, that would be nice too. And I don't want it to sound like I'm being pushy, but, like, you know, I do put a lot of work into these videos, so if you could please subscribe, I would